All right, friends. Obviously, following the tragic news in Utah, Sam Mirejovsky here, News Talk 840 KXNT. Greetings, friends. Charlie Kirk shot in the neck approximately 11:20 in the afternoon, in the morning, our time. So what we know, very little. He's currently in critical condition, updated by a staff member from Turning Point USA. They have released a statement. He's fighting for his life. So you and I, we will be together here the next 2 hours. This is not a traditional show. We will cover everything you need to know about this. Sam@whatsrightshow.com is my email. You can reach me with any questions, comments, and concerns. And of course, also DM me on Twitter, now known as X, @whatsrightsam. So look, it's almost as if Charlie Kirk foretold this. Back in April, the 7th of April, he wrote on Twitter, on X, "The left is being whipped into a violent frenzy. Any setback, whether losing an election or losing a court case, justifies a maximally violent response. This is the natural outgrowth of left-wing protest culture, tolerating violence and mayhem for years on end. The cowardice," this is Charlie Kirk writing back in April, "the cowardice of local prosecutors and school officials have turned the left into a ticking time bomb." And it went through actually a very interesting chart. It went through justification for the murder of Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And basically, it measured respondents to the study, measured the percentage by which they said that they were partially justified in the murder of either of those two characters. All respondents, 31%. But when they asked people left of center, 48.6 for Elon Musk, 55.2 for Donald Trump, and it just this is exactly it. I've been talking about this now for years. We have a violence culture. The left is perpetrating it, and they're doing it in plain sight. Just as recently as the last 24 hours, Van Jones was on CNN calling Charlie Kirk all sorts of vile names and things, basically decrying him as a racist. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but my point is, this is, I saw the guy getting arrested, some, boomer guy. I basically had a hog time to move him out of there. And I promise you, it's not what MSNBC is saying. I was watching MSNBC here getting ready. Apoplectic. Somebody on there actually said, well, maybe it's one of Charlie Kirk's supporters, just popping off his gun in celebration. This is how the left thinks. They are absolutely beyond despicable. I watched the video. Again, I got alerted to this, just minutes after it happened. It's not good. I don't know. I'm praying for the best possible outcome. Saw Charlie last in Milwaukee at the convention. This is absolutely devastating. And here's the thing. This is how we know we're winning. They cannot debate him and win. They are using violence because they are losing the argument. They have run out of logical, reasoned positions by which to counter Charlie Kirk and anyone else on our side. So what are they left with? They're left with bullets. They're left with fists. They're left with bombs. It starts to be obvious why the left is so tight with Hamas. I mean, it makes sense, right? You wonder, well, why is it that Hamas is getting so much support from the leftists? Well, clear. I mean, they are hand in hand, both of them, terrorists at their core. If we're not winning the argument, we will use violence to make people afraid. And that's just what we can't do. We as conservatives cannot give in to any of this. We cannot, and I'm thinking about myself here, we cannot allow these people to silence us. I still remember exactly where I was in Florida when Trump was shot in July of 2024. We were a week away from the convention, and news of shots getting fired, it's all coming back to me. Now, in the fog of war, right, and the video coming out, it was not immediately clear if Trump was hurt and how badly he was hurt. Here, I'm looking at the shot, and I'm looking at the bullet tear through Charlie's neck, and I don't even know what to say. It's difficult for me to be on air right now. So we need to come to a reckoning here. You know, it's the left that's steeped in violence. It's the left that is obsessed with race to the point of being racist themselves. It's the left that practices envy and hatred. The left we have a problem. And you know, the biggest lie, one of the things that pisses me off a lot when I think about it is the years that the FBI spent running around chasing right-wing terrorists. You know this? This is a big thing. The FBI spent years going around, door to door, going white supremacist, extremism, right-wing violence. Think about this gal that was stabbed in the neck. This gal that was riding home from work, the Ukrainian refugee. She's 23 years old. She's going to work. She's coming home. And a violent thug who had been arrested 14 times stabs her in the neck. He has been given a pass by the system created by the Democrats over and over and over again. And what do they say for this? What's their response? They sheepish in the least about it? On some level, the left delights in this violence. They're encouraging it. BLM put out a post all but celebrating it. It's really despicable stuff. And what's going to happen now? I mean, I'll tell you, one of the things, right, they're going to find the shooter is, a radicalized leftist, whatever it is, and they're going to make it all about the shooter. But nowhere in the media are they going to reflect on their role in this. Nowhere is there going to be, well, we're going to make sure it happens, but nowhere in the mainstream media is there going to be an assessment of all the billionaires donating to these NGOs that are fomenting this hatred that's causing this violence in our country. And that's what we need to talk about. I'm telling you, this is a seminal moment, folks. We're going to remember today, Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. It's going to be a day that goes down in history. I'm here for 2 hours. We'll cover this blow by blow, and I'm going to be updated here during the break. Stay tuned. Hang tight. Sam Mirejovsky, live and local, here on News Talk 840 KXNT.
I'm the best.
Personal injury law has been the same for a long time.
The best.
Big egos, greed, and sleazy schemes. We've had enough. Welcome to Sam and Ash, the new standard for personal injury law, where things are done the right way, because you deserve a team that delivers real support and results. When you have both, your whole world can change. Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right.
Hi, Sam Mirejovsky here, Nevada's favorite recovering Californian behind the What's Right microphone. Greetings, friends. Welcome to the What's Right show. Obviously following Charlie Kirk's shooting at Utah Valley University. This is in Orem, Utah. This is a small place just south of Salt Lake, and relatively near to BYU, to Provo. This is a campus that has grown quite a bit in the past little while. There's a ton of people there at the event. And by the way, Charlie Kirk was talking in the moments before he was shot. He was speaking about violence. That's, I think, what makes this so poignant. Here is the audio of what transpired just before the shooting.
This is it. Yes, is that fair to say? All right, great. So, do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?
Too many.
It's 5. Okay, now 5 is a lot, right? I'm going to give you some credit. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
So he literally is talking, and I know it's a little tough to hear the clip because this is from somebody's cell phone there who was attending the rally about 30 yards away. But he's being asked about how many shootings there are in America and the violence in America, and he's answering questions. This is typically what Charlie Kirk does. He goes to college campuses and he answers questions from kids, and he started doing this years ago to a group of 10, 15 kids. And now his events have grown to be quite large, thousands of people. So he's there, right? And apparently the shooter, it was maybe 200 yards away, fired a rifle. Fox News, I think, may have given us the name of the shooter. I'm going to hold off on that for the time being. I went to the guy's social media and I just started to peruse this. And again, forgive me, folks. Today, normally, a program here is well prepared and sorted out. Today, I am just. I'm talking to you as I learn things. So it's less than perfect, but I mean, we will know more, I think, in the course of the next couple hours. But regardless, that's what was going on. Now, the reactions from the media, this is one of the things that's just absolutely galling here. The MSNBC people, I mean, this is one of the reactions of things just after Charlie Kirk was shot that boiled my blood.
Charlie Kirk is a divisive figure, polarizing, lightning rod, whatever term you want to use. Why?
Well, he's one of MAGA's most prominent voices online. He hosts a near daily podcast. He opines on almost everything. He's been very closely aligned with the president since his initial run for office in 2015, 2016. And his ties to Trump really elevated his own brand. He was really quite young as an activist when the president launched his initial campaign. And he has kind of ridden along with MAGA since 2016 and built up a massive, massive brand of his own. His group has brought in tons and tons of money.
Yeah, so this is it's his fault. This is how despicable the media is. You do not hate these people enough. They rile people up. They lie about us. They work people up into an absolute frenzy. And then when something happens, they go, well, it's just, you know what? This is damn conservatives and what they do and what they say. It's them that have called this stuff, have brought this stuff on themselves. Now, we are scouring the media responses here in real time, and we'll bring you updates here throughout the program as this unfolds. Robbie, we do not have an update right now as of this moment, I think, on Charlie Kirk. Again, the last we have heard is that he's in the hospital, critical condition. And I did see that Turning Point USA put out a statement that he's fighting for his life and that he's taking blood, that they're doing a transfusion on him. I mean, this is a time, if you're so inclined, to pray. Because he's got to make it. I mean, he just absolutely has to make it. This is somebody who is I think if there is a person who has single-handedly brought the younger generation to Donald Trump, to conservatism, to making America great again, it's Charlie Kirk. And his influence in the MAGA movement is undisputed. You know, I come back to, what the reason that Charlie Kirk has been in the news in particular a lot lately is because of this, this horrific stabbing of the young lady who was on the train in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, this young lady was a Ukrainian immigrant. She was 23 years old, and she's riding home from work. Her name is Irina Zarutska. Now, the guy that stabbed her in the back, in the neck, was a DeCarlos Brown. He's 34 years old. Long history of criminal activity. Now, he stabs her in the neck, right? He stabs her 3 times. And I did it with a pocket knife, just pulled it down on her, completely unprovoked. Now, this guy's known to have schizophrenia. He's got a criminal history, 14 prior arrests. He has crimes ranging from assault, firearms possession, to felony robbery, larceny, all going back to 2007. So this is a thing. This is a guy who has been repeatedly let out where the system failed to contain him. And Charlie Kirk was talking about this. He called it a seminal moment, the murder of this young woman. Because what we had here was exactly the story. And by the way, I just want to remind you of what happened to Daniel Penny, right? There's a video of this murder. It's all caught on film. And what you see in it is this young lady getting stabbed in the neck, and no one around does anything. No one moves a muscle. And we had, by the way, one of our favorite people, Van Jones, yesterday get on CNN. And Van Jones, this was on Abby Phillip. And Van Jones, this is what really gets me. And this is maybe one of the reasons why Charlie Kirk was on everybody's radar. Yeah, this is sorry guys, I'm just getting some news from producer Robbie. Is this what John Solomon is saying? John Solomon is saying that Charlie Kirk has passed. This is absolutely horrific. And John Solomon is a sober reporter. I think he has, no doubt, good sources. So I can't even imagine. So that's what we're hearing right now from John Solomon, from Real America's Voice and Just the News, that Charlie Kirk has passed away. This is just unbelievable. This is absolutely unreal. All right, we're gonna get more. Robbie, one thing I need to find out here is about the perp. I see different names now on the internet about who this person is, and I see some conflicting things. Again, this is just according to John Solomon, and I'm going to pull it up here. Robbie, do you have where are you finding this? Did he put this out on Twitter? Yeah. So okay. Well, we're gonna go to break here in a minute, and we'll get everything gathered up during the break. By the way, and I in advance of this, I just already apologize for CBS News. Those of you who are listening to the show live here on this station, CBS News is the most vile bunch of worthless. Just even the way they're describing this is unreal. Okay, Real America's Voice is reporting that Solomon reported it. And apparently Eric Balling was the first one who said it. All right, so hopefully this is not true, but again, we'll know a lot more when we come back. By the way, if you've got any comments or thoughts, I want to email me. I will share them, if appropriate, on air. Sam@what'srightshow.com, Sam@what'srightshow.com. And of course, follow me for updates throughout the day here at What's Right Sam on X, formerly known as Twitter. All right, folks, we're going to head into the break here. I'll see you on the other side of this. Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840, KXNT. All right, folks, welcome back. Sam Mirejovsky here, News Talk 840 KXNT. The What's Right Show is on. Sam at what'srightshow.com is my email. Again, in the fog of the situation here, in the wake of Charlie Kirk's shooting, not exactly clear then if Charlie's still alive. I'm hoping he is. I saw that a purported report from John Solomon saying that he had passed. That appears to be uncorroborated at this point. And it's absolutely unbelievable. Here is MSNBC about 30 minutes ago in their live coverage of the event, coming up with a very interesting theory as to how this happened.
Yeah, we're showing, by the way, our affiliate in Utah and the aftermath of the shooting. You could see people running away pretty quickly, as you would imagine they would do at gunshots. The FBI director, Kash Patel, has weighed in on this. He just tweeted the following: "We're closely monitoring reports of the tragic shooting involving Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. Our thoughts are with Charlie, his loved ones, and everyone affected. Agents will be on the scene quickly, and the FBI stands in full support of the ongoing response and the investigation." Charlie Kirk is a divisive figure, polarizing, lightning rod, whatever term you want to use. Why?
Well, he's one of MAGA's most prominent voices online. He hosts a near daily podcast. He opines on almost everything. He's been very closely aligned with the president since his initial run for office in 2015, 2016. And his ties to Trump really elevated his own brand. He was really quite young as an activist when the president launched his initial campaign. And he has kind of ridden along with MAGA since 2016 and built up a massive, massive brand of his own. His group has brought in tons and tons of money.
Okay, so it's his fault. That's what they're getting at here. That's the point. Yeah, here's another theory. Now listen to this. As MSNBC continued to cover this the hour after the shooting.
Yeah, and again, emphasize what you just emphasized. We don't know the full details of this. That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea.
What? Oh, it's a supporter shooting off their gun in celebration. This is actually what is on MSNBC News. So it's either his fault for aligning himself with Trump. Never mind, these are people that go on television every day and yell about how Trump is a fascist, that he's the next thing to Hitler, and now he has to be stopped. They say that on air. Think about it. 4 years of Joe Biden. 4 years of insanity, of terrible things that I obviously took issue with. I was on air every week of the Joe Biden presidency. And here's one thing I can tell you. At no point did I openly or in any way intimate any kind of acts of violence on Joe Biden. In fact, I was terrified of anything happening to Joe Biden, even old age, given that the next available alternative would be Kamala Harris. I know, I would say this. Isn't it funny that it's Trump that gets shot? It's Tesla dealerships that get burned to the ground. It's Charlie Kirk that gets shot. These leftists are violent. And you see it, by the way. We've covered this here. You see the videos of an argument taking place, of two people arguing about politics. It's always the leftist that goes and throws the punch. It's the leftist that can't have the conversation, that gets so wound up in anger. Look at what's going on. Look at what is going on with the Palestinian, pro-Palestinian movement in the Democratic Party. Look at the nice Jewish couple of young people that were murdered in front of the embassy in D.C. Look at the Catholic kids murdered by the tranny while they sat in the pews at church. Look at the United Healthcare CEO who gets murdered, and then the left goes out and celebrates it. They go out, they praise him. They start putting, Luigi stickers on their stuff. This is it. They glorify violence because they're revolutionaries. This is their allegiance, why they're bedfellows with Islam. Now, it's going to be an awkward union because, hopefully they're not successful. But if they are, guess what happens? I think the trans and the gays and the liberals and all the end up getting, by the Islamists. Because for the most part, the libs are all effete. The people that are going to, but you have to understand the alliance. The alliance right now consists of and centers around this hatred for the traditional order, for the family, for anything religious, for the free market, for open speech and debate. One thing about us conservatives is we welcome debate. Now, we welcome debate because, by and large, we win the debates, number one. And number two, we believe in the First Amendment. We believe in what our founding fathers sought to build for us in this beautiful country of ours. I can say this with great confidence. You travel around the world and you look at places where they do not have protections for free speech. And it is likely that in time, those places will eventually fall into some sort of armed revolt because people are unable to solve their problems using words. And that brings us to today. It brings us to the shooting. It brings us to Charlie Kirk. We should be able to talk things through. And the people that can't talk, who have to just punch, hit, hurt, kill, they don't deserve to be among us. If there's any silver lining to this, it's not Kamala Harris's FBI that's going to be investigating this. It'll be interesting to see who all abated this and allowed this to happen. And if we're talking about a singular individual, and again, look, this is the challenge of going on air, an hour and 20 minutes or so, or 40 minutes after this happened. I'm just very short on information, and this is all I really want to talk about today. So I'll know a lot more tomorrow, is my point. But when I look at this, I say to myself, look, it could be just a guy, could be just some old crank, leftist, fanatic, watches MSNBC, right? The whole 9 yards. But I'm not prepared to just blame the individual. I already saw some kids. They interviewed, by the way, MSNBC interviewed some kids on campus there at UVU, Utah Valley University. This is where the shooting happened. And the kids were like, oh yeah, maybe we could prevent this with gun control. How stupid can you get? You're going to take every single rifle away from everybody in this country? Is that really the problem? Maybe the problem is that you, and I'm speaking to this one, actively went there, and you're on that campus, you're hating every word that somebody you disagree with is saying. And instead of having a debate and going, well, okay, I think I'm right and I think you're wrong, you actually wish them harm. Here's what I'm talking about. Here are the students getting interviewed, and this just makes no sense.
From what I heard, it was a sniper from a long ways away. So I don't know. I think the focus of this should probably be on probably some sort of gun control or something like that, so that things like this can't happen again.
This is a classic liberal thing. So nothing like this ever happens again. We're just going to prevent anything bad from ever happening. Well, you know what? There is no personal responsibility ever with leftists. I don't know if you've noticed, this is like what would I call this? A common theme for the left. There's always some sort of systemic failure. There's always some societal problem. There's always some external factor that is to blame for everything bad that has happened. And the best thing about this is you never have to look in the mirror and go, you know what? Maybe I should just shut the F up and stop calling conservatives fascists. Maybe I should stop calling half of my 45% of my neighbors and friends Nazis. Maybe, remember I played this video last week of the gal who found out that her best friend had voted for Trump and she just cut the person off. Do you see how that is a problem? Like, can you imagine? I don't cut anybody off because they're a Democrat, that they voted for Kamala. I used to live in California. Let me tell you something, guys. As Nevada's favorite recovery in California, I can tell you categorically that it would be a major problem for me socially if I didn't talk to any Democrats. I would get very lonely. So that's actually the best thing about growing up, as I did in California in a minority. I knew I was in the minority. They had it all. They had a supermajority in the House, like a governor, they had everything, blah, blah, blah. And then when occasionally we got a Republican, like Arnold Schwarzenegger in California, he ended up being basically a Democrat too. So if you're a conservative, you're kind of SOL. But anyway, but you learn to talk to people on the other side of the aisle. Now, and I'm sitting here today. What is it now? It's 10:45 at night. I'm in the Czech Republic. I'm in Europe, and I'm in the country that my parents fled 57 years ago. My parents left. Well, I'm bringing this up. It has a point. My parents fled a regime that was led by leftists, much like the leftists that are running the Democratic Party today. And the left, the communists in my parents' homeland, destroyed my family, did horrible things. If anybody ought to hate the left, despise the left, want to go out and harm them, it would be me. All right, I got it, folks. I'm sorry. We got to head to the break, but it pains me to tell you this, that now Donald Trump on Truth Social has confirmed that Charlie Kirk has passed away. So this is just an awful, awful day. Be right back. Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840 KXNT. Sam Mirejovsky here, the What's Right show here, brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law. So we're apparently hearing that Charlie Kirk has passed away. This is now being reported also by Fox News. But again, they're going to Trump's tweet. Born in 1993. I didn't even realize how young Charlie was. It's unbelievable what he accomplished in 31 years. I have no words for this. Let me tell you something, friends. Just as I said at the beginning of the program, this is going to be a day that will go down in history and will not be forgotten. Charlie Kirk was debating, listening to, retorting to the left, to people that disagreed with him, to people that agreed with him. He was having a conversation with ordinary young Americans. He was doing the single most American thing that there is. Engaged in an open debate. This just is, and again, make no mistake, this is the very purpose for this. The purpose of the shooting is to strike fear in the heart of every person who is like Charlie Kirk, who has a show, who has a podcast, who has a following, who inspires people, who lifts up people on our side. And the dehumanizing language that the left constantly uses, Nazi, bigot, racist, over and over again. Charlie Kirk had a young family. He was married, had kids, was a proud father. The leftist reign of terror has to end. The other thing we have to do, and I'm telling you this, and I'm thinking about the Charlotte stabbing victim and a horrific death that she suffered. We have to stop, full stop, taking for granted our safety. We are the hunted. They're after us. They want us dead because they lose elections. Their ideas are unpopular. They lose debates. But they have been convinced in their minds that Trump and that Charlie Kirk and Sam Mirejovsky and everybody else is a bigoted, horrible, a person. I get the emails. I mean, I do. I don't share them, but I get some pretty vile stuff, and it's from people who are insane, and they are wound up in anger. David Cohen just sent me an email here. Yeah, this is good. David, I appreciate it. There are only two, this is an Ayn Rand quote, there are only two fundamental methods by which men can deal with one another: by reason or by force, by intellectual persuasion or by physical coercion, by directing to an opponent's brain an argument or a bullet. Now, Ayn Rand, of course, knew the communists like the back of her hand. So, of course, for the left, when reason runs out, then they turn to bullets. It's interesting for the people that are always pushing gun control. You almost have to think that perhaps when they talk about gun control, it's really kind of a cynical ploy. They would love a world where a few of them still have weapons and the rest of us are walking around unarmed. I don't think we can go to big events anymore. I don't think any conservative commentator or media personality really can do an event like this. By the way, the shooter is reportedly still at large. So the person that was being hauled off in handcuffs, apparently not the shooter, according to UVU campus police. So this just this is absolutely horrific. So this is again, if you're just tuning in, we have a confirmation now. Pretty much everybody reporting now that Charlie Kirk has passed away. I tell you, looking at the video, I just think it doesn't surprise me. Greg Gutfeld writing, the crowd that called us Nazis say hateful words causes hateful actions. They were right. And I'm seeing the pictures all over right now, all over social media of Charlie Kirk, his wife, his daughter, and his little son. Just absolutely devastating. One thing about Charlie Kirk, and I have to say this, all the times that he did his campus conversations and would answer questions and would debate with people, I mean, he was always respectful. He was always kind. He was patient. He would listen to people. He would argue with them. He wouldn't give an inch. But this was a person with great amount of civility. Now, people need to watch. I'm just, and we cannot allow this to continue. I'm getting everybody sending me photos, people sending me pictures of themselves with Charlie. A lot of people I know knew him very well. I'm just absolutely beside myself here. It is very difficult to do this show. It's just obviously a little close to home. All right, friends, I'm gonna here, top of the hour. Take a break for the news and other messages. I'll be back at the other side of it for another hour of the What's Right Show. Please email me with comments and questions, and I will share it if it's in the right time and place here on the program. Sam at what'srightshow.com, at What's Right Sam on X, formerly known as Twitter. Please follow me there for updates after the program. All right, folks, stay tuned. Again, breaking news, Charlie Kirk has passed away after being shot in Utah. Absolutely horrendous. Laboring today through a difficult show. I'm not going to lie, folks. This is a tough one. Sam Mirejovsky here, News Talk 840 KXNT. The What's Right Show is on. Obviously, horrible news here just before the break. Confirmation in that Charlie Kirk was killed. Shot in the neck at 11:20. That is our time. So 12:20 local time in Utah. He was whisked off to a waiting car, driven to an ambulance. Some reports say he was life-flighted. It's apparently just was not enough. Donald Trump eulogizing Charlie with a tweet, a post on Truth Social, quote, "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family, Charlie. We love you." Now, the president knew Charlie Kirk quite well. Donald Trump Jr. knew him very well as well. I love you, brother, is what Donald Trump Jr. wrote. You gave so many people the courage to speak up, and we will never be silenced. Clips all over the internet of Charlie Kirk with his family, adoring and loving on his kids and his wife. Pictures of him from the last time I saw him, which was at the convention in Milwaukee in July of 2024. He died, and a number of people are pointing this out, right? He died doing what he did best, which is having civil discourse with Americans of all political persuasions. Many came out there to the event because they supported Charlie Kirk. But a lot of people came up to the microphone to have to argue with him, to tell him he was wrong, to prove him wrong. And if you watch what Charlie Kirk would do, he'd get up there and he with perfectly calm and collected would have a conversation with people. I don't know if there's anything that is more American than that. I think that has to be his legacy. Now, where do we go from here? September 2025 is not going to be forgotten too easily. We are still talking and recovering from a brutal slaying, a racially charged slaying. In fact, Charlie Kirk had been in the news quite a bit and had been slammed as recently as last night on CNN. Well, I'll play the clip here. Over the incident that occurred, the murder that occurred in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, on August 22nd is when a young woman, Irina Zarutska, 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee, on her way home from work, stabbed in the neck by DeCarlos Brown Jr. Now, DeCarlos had a rap sheet that was pretty lengthy, had 14 arrests. Ample opportunities to put this guy away. And he hadn't been put away. He was out. He was dangerous. And he took a young woman's life. Now, last night on CNN, actually, this was on Tuesday, Abby Phillip, who has the show, right? Abby Phillip is an insufferable lightweight. She had, it was yesterday. Yes. Okay, yesterday. Sorry, it's Tuesday. Today I'm not quite myself, folks. Abby Phillip starts talking about how Charlie Kirk, people like Charlie Kirk, make everything about race. That everything's about race.
People like Charlie Kirk, Van, they've been looking for opportunities to make this some sort of like reciprocal George Floyd situation. And that's the part that I think he's almost giving away the game. And it's sad to see a lot of people going along with it.
Yeah, okay. You know why? Charlie Kirk said it was racially motivated, that the attack on this young lady was racial. And Van Jones, who's a former Obama administration official, you know Van Jones, darling of CNN, chimes in with really quite a vile rant. This was last night on CNN.
We don't know why that man did what he did. And for Charlie Kirk to say, we know he did it because she's white, when there's no evidence of that, it's just pure race mongering, hate mongering. It's wrong. Then he says that if something like that had happened the other way, there would be sweeping changes imposed on society. Where is the George Floyd Policing Act? It didn't pass. Even when you had a white police officer murder a black man on live television, the whole world saw, there were no sweeping changes. In fact, not one law was passed at the federal level. So I think that's an important thing to point out. The other thing is, you mentioned the thing about cashless bail. I think this is a big challenge that we have. Would you have felt better if there had been cash bail and the mom had come and put down $1,000 to let him out?
Yes.
It's not about cashless bail or no cashless bail. It's about the fact that we don't know how to deal with people who were hurting in the way this man was hurting. Hurt people hurt people. What happened was horrible, but it becomes an opportunity for people to jump on bandwagons. And then for someone like Charlie Kirk, he should be ashamed of himself. No one mentioned the word race, white, black, or anything except him. What people mention is the horror of what happened to this young woman.
Here's what goes on. These people go on TV and they lie. They lie. You want to bet? I'll bet real money. I'll bet real money that the shooter was watching CNN last night. Okay? Now, maybe I'm going to be wrong, but I'm just telling you. Now, why am I saying that he's lying? Because I know he's lying. Van Jones is actually lying. It's going to be a little difficult to hear, but that Charlotte light rail, that tram, had video cameras, but also microphones. And the murderer, okay, the thug that snuffed out this young woman, muttered something under his breath. Well, not really muttered. It was pretty loud, but you can pick it up, trace of it on the camera microphones as he's walking away and as she's dying. Listen to this. You know what he said? Plain as day. I got the white girl. I got that white girl. DeCarlos Brown Jr. said it himself. He said it. It came from him. And Van Jones last night is slamming Charlie Kirk for making it about race. Maybe as a kind of a foundational thing. I'm just pointing this out, that Van Jones, CNN, NBC, and MSNBC, whatever the hell, they're called now, MS Now. Now they haven't changed their names yet, but maybe as a start, maybe stop lying. Isn't it interesting that the people that lie the most and take advantage of the First Amendment the most are the ones that are always screaming for more controls on speech? Because that's another component of this, right? You're seeing, and Charlie Kirk talked about this all the time, you're seeing all the limits on speech in Great Britain, in the United Kingdom currently. And you know what it's about? The government is losing the debate. They're losing the debate. So what do? They make it illegal for you to speak out against the government. This is what tyrants do. Tyrants use gag laws. Tyrants use bullets. Tyrants do anything that they possibly can do to avoid being challenged in their idiocy, in their wrongness. And what we are facing right now as Americans, we're facing an onslaught of tyranny from the left. It's dangerous. But I think things are going to change. They have to. There literally is no other way. Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840, KXNT.
The Sam and Ash team, they wanted me to have the best care. They had my interests at heart. I have an enormous amount of gratitude. I cannot say enough thank you.
Lots of people right now actually writing about this shooting, how it was a professional shot, more than 200 yards, opining about the fact that this person here who did this was a pro. Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840 KXNT. To be clear here, it seems the shooter is still on the loose. The original videos of a middle-aged guy getting hauled off, two different names, by the way, neither of which I've shared here, but that were first reported, were likely wrong. So so this just is a very fluid situation. We probably won't know a whole lot on this in the moment. Tributes, of course, flowing in. Ben Shapiro wrote a poignant post, like all of you. He writes, "I am utterly stunned and heartbroken and sick to my soul today. It is unimaginable to write these words. I met Charlie Kirk when he was 18 years old, a young man so eager and determined that I immediately turned to a friend and said, that kid is going to be the head of the RNC one day." Ben Shapiro adds, "Charlie became even bigger and more important than that. It was a privilege to watch this principled man stand up for his beliefs and create the single most important conservative political organization in America. But more importantly, Charlie was a good man, a man who believed in right and wrong, who stood by his biblical values. All of us will miss him, and I can't imagine the pain of his beautiful young family, and we must pray for them all. And we must pick up the baton where Charlie left it, fighting for the things he believed in so passionately. And we must fight for a better America, an America where good people can speak truth and debate passionately without fear of a bullet." Shapiro adds, "I weep for Charlie's family. I weep for my country today. Most of all, I weep for Charlie." This is very poignant. The two knew each other well. You know, one of the things that I always admired about Kirk is he was absolutely pure. It always seemed to me, at least, absolutely pure in his devotion to God. He just was so matter of fact about it. And I tell you, it's. I hope that is a source of strength for his wife, for his family, for his friends, because this is just an unimaginable thing. I'm here. I'm on air. I'm supposed to react to this live. It's impossible to fully wrap my head around it. So I think tomorrow I'll be a little bit more eloquent. You'll have to forgive me, please, today for this lackluster performance of mine. This is real. I can't even believe that it's happened. So here we are. Charlie Kirk, shot in the neck. It's now being described as a sniper. Well, we've heard this story before. Charlie Kirk got hit by the bullet. It went through his neck. I mean, I saw an up-close video. My heart sank when I saw it. The first video was from a distance, and it was difficult to see exactly what happened. The second one, that I saw just before going on air seemed to me to be just catastrophic. And he fought police, the everybody. He just it just wasn't meant to be. Yes, we got to find the guy. It's bigger than the guy that did the shooting. It just really is. And what sickens me, absolutely sickens me, are these platitudes from Nancy Pelosi, from Joe Biden. You know, Joe Biden can shove his nice statement where the sun don't shine. This is a guy who got up there and delivered a speech condemning each and every one of us on our side of the aisle as fascists and Nazis. That was a turning point. You want to talk about moments. We should never forget how, what do we call it? The dark Brandon speech. Biden got up there and with red lights and this whole, attachment, the whole presentation of it was just angry and delivered a speech condemning half the country. And it was much worse than Hillary Clinton's, offhanded deplorables remark. We know they have contempt for us. We know that the left has written us off. We know that they think we're less than human. This is how they talk privately. And of course, their enablers in the media talk like this openly. But Biden let the mask come down. So he gave the speech, horrible speech about conservatives, MAGA Republicans, MAGA. I mean, people listen to it. Here's the thing they do. They pick up on it. They're inspired by it. It is absolutely sick the way the left. And incidentally, let me tell you, if you actually trace the genesis of this, yes, the left was always ramped up about Republicans, but it all started somewhere in 2016. If we go back to Trump riding down the escalator at Trump Tower in New York City, he comes down, he announces he's running for president. And, you go back to the media reaction of it, and it was ha, 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 right? The media laughed it off. As soon as Donald Trump went from 1% to 5% to 10% to 25%, you watched the ha-has get wiped away from their faces, and they began doing what? They started freaking out. Because up until Donald Trump, and it has nothing to do with his rhetoric, it has nothing to do with any of his positions, which actually are not that revolutionary. It had everything to do with the fact that for the first time, there was a threat to the uniparty, the status quo in the country, the fat that is flowing through the government, through USAID, all the funny money, everything. It didn't matter if it was George W. Bush or Barack Obama. It all worked out always for everybody involved. But along comes Trump, a real outsider. He's not one of them. And they had to do everything they could to stop him. And the path to Charlie Kirk's death today started back there in the moment that Trump started gaining traction, and the left pulled out every stop to see to it that they would derail Trump. Now, the truth is that they never did. They never succeeded in it. But they were successful in riling up a significant portion of the country. I don't think a majority, but a sizable minority of the country, riling them up and making them believe that Trump, and by extension, those of us who supported him, were the great Satan. And the people out there that despise Trump and despise MAGA, despise conservatives, these are quite honestly, I mean, these are people who have been radicalized by the media. by constant programming that Trump is basically Orange Hitler. So, here we are. And they didn't stop Trump, but there's collateral damage along the way. And by the way, remember the congressional shooting, the baseball shooting. This is Steve Scalise got shot. This is they've been doing this kind of stuff for years. All right, don't go anywhere, folks. More when we come back on the other side of this. Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840 KXNT. Welcome back, folks. Sam Mirejovsky here. The What's Right show brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law. A somber day today. Charlie Kirk assassinated in Utah at Utah Valley University. This is in Orem, south of Salt Lake. And people are not mentioning, of course, that this is a gun-free zone. Just again, these gun-free zones. Somebody wrote, the problem with allowing guns everywhere is that things like this can happen. Well, that's not actually the problem. Literally not the problem. This is a place where they've decreed guns aren't supposed to be. So I guess, in a manner of speaking, gun control isn't the answer. Now, some people are circulating posts written by people a day ago about Charlie Kirk coming to their college. I guess presumptively this is a student. Somebody wrote, let's just say something big will happen. Ed, my friend Ed, reaching out to me about this, calling it 100% a hired hit. Again, the shot apparently was from quite some time away, a distance away, excuse me, and they're still looking for the guy or person. But it's just absolutely horrifying. Liberal Twitter, social media, TikTok exploding with leftists rejoicing about this. People writing, Charlie Kirk got shot, Trump next. Posting memes of Charlie Kirk seeing the fiery depths of hell. It's just, this is what we've got, right? I'm also seeing a few posts of, saw one guy here during the break, just kind of going through some reactions here, saying, a conservative guy saying, hey, watch your back, libs. Now, this isn't the answer either. Obviously, it's not. We shouldn't just go hunting for liberals. But I have to say something, and it's pretty obvious, I think, that the left is playing with fire. You piss off the conservatives. I think we're the ones that have more guns, okay? Just because this is not the group to start a civil war with, in other words. Which is, by the way, one of the most absurd things. Always bothered me about January 6th is I guess the conservatives all showed up there to overthrow the government, didn't have any guns. Weird. By the way, there's another shooting being reported outside of Denver. 3 teens are in critical condition, according to the news. So this is just more tragedy today. And Donald Trump has ordered that flags be flown half-mast until Sunday, 6 p.m. This is it. The left, right? Robbie's saying, how long will the leftists take advantage of conservative restraint? Conservatives have been very restrained. And the thing is, here's the problem. When we talk about things that bother us, for example, when Charlie Kirk talked about this stabbing in Charlotte by this lunatic guy who had been let out of jail over and over again, where there was a left-wing NGO that had paid the county, this is part of the scandal, had paid the county something like $3.3 million. This is, Mecklenburg County was given a ton of money by this NGO, the MacArthur Foundation, to reduce its jail population, particularly among black and brown people. That's what they wanted. So they were incentivized, in other words, to keep releasing people of color that were repeat offenders. So Charlie Kirk goes and talks about this. He mentions this. He's appalled by it, as we all are, is engaged in First Amendment activity. And you have today, as this all is happening, the media out there going, well, maybe he should have kept his mouth shut. It's vile stuff. By the way, Pritzker, the big guy there in Illinois, governor of Illinois, giving remarks here as news of this broke. And this guy is something else.
Political violence, unfortunately, has been ratcheting up in this country. We saw the shootings, the killings in Minnesota. We've seen other political violence occur in other states. And I would just say it's got to stop. And I think there are people who are fomenting it in this country. I think the president's rhetoric often foments it. We've seen the January 6th rioters who clearly, have tripped a new era of political violence.
What? Charlie Kirk getting assassinated while talking to young people at a university is what it was preceded and inspired by political violence, January 6th. I mean, last I checked, the only person that got shot on January 6th was one of the protesters who happened to be unarmed by a DEI hire black cop who ought to have been fired. Actually, if you use the same standards as were used with Mr. Chauvin there in Minneapolis, this officer should be in prison right now. Literally. It blows my mind. These people just are, they're dumb. Yes, they're stupid, but they're also just, this is out of touch. You're going to make this shooting where a father, a human being, literally was targeted deliberately, likely for his politics, and you're going to make it about January 6th. Sometimes I think of the left. They're just like, the Woody doll. You got the little string. You pull the string, and then there are 5 scripts. That's it. Okay, they got January 6th. They got systemic racism. Okay, they've got income inequality. They've got climate change. And they have orange. Hitler is bad. Like, that's it. That's all they got. And they just repeat the script. And you could say, well, the aliens have landed and they will bring it back to global warming. Whatever is in front of them, they just take back to their script. It's the most unoriginal, lame stuff ever. I'm just, here's Charlie Kirk in his own words. This is about a year ago. He gets asked why he does what he does. They asked him.
I go around universities and have challenging conversations, and because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
I've never seen someone do this.
Well, it's a growing trend because people like me are facing violence, assaults, the left. Yes, the campus Antifa. I've been stormed out of restaurants. I've been assaulted publicly, multiple death threats.
Okay, so what's your goal in all this?
There's more people that agree with me than some people would actually believe, and they come out of the woodwork when I do stuff like this. We record all of it so that we put it on the internet so people can see these ideas collide. When people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when civil war happens, because you start to think the other side is so evil and they lose their humanity.
Yeah, when you stop talking, You just start to believe the other side's evil, and you lose your humanity. Well, there it is. Why can't we talk? I run into this problem all the time. Somebody will say, "I can't believe you voted for Trump," and they start yelling at me somewhere, and I'll say, "Well, let's talk about it. Tell me what you like about Biden." But you can't say to me that it's because you hate Trump. We're not going to talk about Trump. I want to hear why you like Biden. What was so great about Joe Biden? My wife had a great experience like this with a neighbor in Las Vegas. As a neighbor, a nice, very, very wonderful family. They're obviously very liberal, and she just could not believe that that my wife supported Trump. And I don't think this lady knew that I have the show and whatnot. So anyway, there was a conversation, and to this neighbor's credit, she goes, "Well, what do you like about Trump?" And this was right after the election. So Biden was president at this point. And she goes, "Well, listen," Sherry goes, "Well, listen, we didn't have any war. We had, the economy was great, and our border was secure." Those were her points, right? That's what mattered to her. And again, to her credit, the neighbor gal goes, "Yeah, I can't argue with that." That's a really important exercise. I'm going to tell you this is a great trick. If you're going to debate with somebody, it's not about why Biden is bad or why Trump is bad. I mean, I can articulate, of course, a number of reasons why I oppose, Biden and people that surrounded him and ran the presidency, why I oppose their policies. But I'm able to articulate what I love about Trump. And they're always challenged to do this. It's not a Biden thing. They were challenged to do this with Hillary. "Oh, well, why do you like Hillary? Why are you supporting Hillary?" Because I personally kind of find her insufferable. Like, what do you like about her? And it always was one of a few things. The most common one was, "Well, she's a woman." "Well, she's a woman." Saying, "Oh, I'm going to support. I'm the first woman president." That's not really a basis to support somebody. Is it like, what do you like about her policies? What about her do you like? That's always harder to do. That's a more challenging conversation to have. But we've gotten really reductive. And the reductiveness comes with these labels. And I'm tired of being called a Nazi and a racist and a bigot and a transphobe and a homophobe and everything. You can disagree with trans, and for example, you can disagree with child genital mutilation, and but not be called nasty names. All right, quick break here. Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840 KXNT. This hour of the program brought to you by Sam & Ash Injury Law. Turning Point USA, about 10 minutes ago, publishing this statement. "It is with a heavy heart that we confirm that Charles James Kirk has been murdered by a gunshot that took place during Turning Point USA's The American Comeback Tour campus event at Utah Valley University. May he be received into the merciful arms of our loving Savior who suffered and died for Charlie. We ask that everyone keep his family and loved ones in your prayers. We ask that you please respect their privacy and dignity at this time." Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840 KXNT. Welcome to the program today. Obviously, a somber day as we follow the events here that happened at 11:20 our time, 12:20 in the afternoon in Orem, Utah. A single shot rang out, shot Charlie Kirk in the neck, and about an hour ago, Charlie passed away. This is just an absolutely horrendous day. Now, I debated whether or not to play this, but I'm going to, because you need to know that these people exist. They may be your coworkers. They may be your neighbors. They're dangerous people. That's why I'm playing this. We need to stop being naive and thinking that we're safe, because people like this are around us. It's just a small sampling of what's going on TikTok right now. By the way, each one of these people looks like a complete freak.
And there are a lot of people that are like, no matter what side of politics you're on, you should never celebrate something bad happening to someone. I, on the other hand, do cheer when bad things happen to bad people.
Charlie Kirk just got shot.
Well, breaking news, folks. Seems somebody just took a shot at one of the Fanta-Fascist's favorite 5-mile-wide mouthpieces, Charles Chuckle Kirk.
This is just a snippet. There are hours and thousands of posts just like this. Why is it important? Again, it's important because these people are around us. And why do they think this way? These people are stupid, okay? I actually think of these people as dull instruments that have been wound up by a machine, a political machine in death rows. What does a political machine do when it is facing an extinction level event? What is a political machine that hands out billions of dollars, trillions, in fact, around the world, and funds entire organizations, who has always survived, no matter if it's a Republican or a Democrat or a Republican, and all of a sudden along comes this guy, this real estate developer from New York, and he's never been elected to office. He doesn't understand how the system works. And he's running on a platform of change. He's going to come into D.C. a total insider. He hasn't been vetted by the CIA. He hasn't come up through the ranks. He hasn't put in his time. No siree, Bob. This Trump guy is dangerous. He is off the chains. So along comes the media, and day in, day out, hours upon hours, days on weeks, on months, and on years, goes in and constantly tells us how awful Trump is, what a despicable monster he is. And, there it is, right? And then you get people like this, low IQ folks that are just soaking it all up and are wound up, and they're listening to their professors and read stuff on Blue Sky or whatever, whatever digital toilet paper roll they get their news on, and that's that. MSNBC told me that Trump is Hitler. These people didn't know who Epstein was like 7 weeks ago, and now are all running around calling Trump a, child predator. That's what we're at. That's these people on TikTok. Oh, by the way, MSNBC's come up with a new idea here of what Trump is going to use this thing for. Trump's going to use Charlie Kirk's murder to really crack down on
After one of the Doge employees was allegedly attacked in Washington, D.C., that's what Donald Trump used as justification to send in federal troops into Washington, D.C. to get things under control. The carjacking situation, he used that. And I know it's hard to predict the future, Mark, but you can imagine the administration using this as a justification for something.
These people are terrible, and they're continuing with it. Just admit it. Admit that you spread hate. That's what you do. They cannot stop criticizing a political figure that they absolutely despise. And of course, they don't stop there. And that's why I bring up the Biden speech. I bring up the Dark Brandon speech. I think always about this because Biden got out there and he slammed us. He slammed you and me and anybody else that supports Trump. He called us, MAGA Republicans, the scourge of the country. I mean, if they get them wound up enough to hate us, of course, what are they going to do to a Charlie Kirk? What are they going to do to anybody who has any kind of a voice or any kind of a following? No, it's sobering. It really is. This has been a very difficult show, folks, and forgive me. It's certainly been less than perfect, but I appreciate your patience with me as we've labored through these 2 incredibly difficult hours. For those of you that believe, that have faith, please keep Charlie's family in your thoughts. You cannot even imagine what they are going through. I will tell you this. On the other side of this is a brighter future, and it's there because of Charlie Kirk. His legacy, mark my words, his legacy is going to be eternal. I have no question about that. Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840 KXMT. I love you all. Please take care.